Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about my natural birth story. So my son is now just over 1 year old, which I should have made this a long time ago, but just you get busy. So I can still remember it very vividly. So now's my chance. I made one with my husband for our natural birth class, but I can't seem to find it. So I'm just going to make a new one. So if you're interested in natural birth story, I had a natural birth in a birth center, and it was a birth center inside of a hospital. So it's not the norm, but it's a natural birth center within a hospital. So if you're unable to have a natural birth, or you kind of get risked out for whatever reason, then they'll just send you over to like the regular labor and delivery. But I did have a completely natural, unmedicated birth, and it's a doozy. It was fast and quick and intense, but I lived to tell about it, and it was awesome. So here's my story. So I'm going to kind of start from like the night before I went into labor. So if you're not interested in that, you can skip forward like a minute or two and just get to the nitty-gritty. But if you're into the details and if you like birth stories, then listen. 39 weeks to the day, and I was uncomfortable, but just like during the day, but just uncomfortable like you would be when you're 39 weeks pregnant and you're big and you're uncomfortable and you can't sleep and all of that. So that was kind of just normal during the day. And then at night I just could not get comfortable. I made my husband sleep out on the couch with me on the sectional, because I couldn't lay in our bed. I was not comfortable in there. I laid on the couch. I wasn't comfortable there. I laid in the recliner. I wasn't comfortable there. I was all over the place. So I was just really uncomfortable. I can't even really explain the sensation. There was no contractions or anything. It was just uncomfortable. Like no way that I sat like relieved the pressure or just the mass that I was. I really wasn't that big, but it was big for me. I finally made my way back to our bed. My husband's still out on the couch. Laid there, fell asleep. It's like 4 a.m. Fell asleep, and then I woke up at 6 a.m. to move over in bed. So I moved my giant body. I went to like pick my feet up, and my water broke. So you know your water breaks when it snaps like a rubber band, and that's what it sounded like, or a balloon popping. And I knew it was my water. So I run out, tell my husband my water broke. It's so excited, scared, anxious, all of the things. I don't know how quickly this is going to go, how long this is going to be. I didn't get any sleep. So I think I got like 2 hours, that 4 to 6 window. So I'm like, okay, here we go. So my water breaks. I tell him, I text my doula, let her know my water just broke. She said, okay, let me know, once contractions pick up, and we think I have all the time in the world. I let my midwife know as well. That's what you're supposed to do. So I let both of them know, and then I said, okay, I'm going to take a shower. So I just always plan that. I'm like, I'll take a shower. I'll be just ready for whenever this happens. So I take a nice warm shower. I hadn't had any contractions at all. So when my water broke, it was just like, bam. Okay, this is a waterfall. So I'm standing in the shower, and this was within under 5 minutes of my water breaking. I'm already in the shower. So I'm standing in the shower, and then I get my first wave of contractions, and it feels like really bad period cramps. So when people say that, that's what it felt like for me. I don't want to say everybody it feels that way, because some people do not think it feels that way. For me, it felt like very intense period cramps, and I have very intense period cramps when I'm normally on my cycle. So I'm like, God, I do not miss that feeling. So that happened, pretty much a giant one standing in the shower, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So then I take the rest of my shower, and they kind of keep coming like a couple minutes apart while I'm in the shower. So I finish my shower, whatever. I lay down in our bed, back in our bed, and my husband's like, okay, I'm going to take a shower just to get it out of the way. So he takes a shower. While he's in the shower, these contractions are probably every 2 minutes apart. and they're strong. They're really strong. So I'm like, okay, I'm just starting out here. This is not a good start. I mean, it wasn't a bad start. It just seemed like these are more painful than I thought they'd be for being, I don't even know, maybe not even dilated at all. So I'm like, okay, these are pretty intense. So then I'm texting my doula. We're communicating. I'm still laying just in my towel on the bed and breathing through them because they were painful. They're like just very bad period cramps where you just kind of like want to fold over into a ball and just breathe through it. So I text her. I tell her that they're 2 minutes apart. They're pretty painful. And I had about a 35-minute drive to our hospital birth center. So I had to keep that in mind. But I'm like, it's my first birth. Like, we got time. So I'm sitting there, and my doula's like, maybe you should start thinking about heading that way because you're really close together, my contractions. They're painful. And my mom had a history of precipitous births. So what that means is they're very quick. They come on suddenly, and they're very short labors. So with that history, she's like, maybe you should just go. So I was a little skeptical just because I did not want to go to the hospital birth center and then have them tell me, oh, you're only 2 or 3 centimeters dilated. That's like my worst fear, especially as a natural birth person. I was like, I don't want to go there and have them send me home or have to like walk around the hospital and try and like get the baby to come. So I'm like, I just really don't want to do that. But these were strong contractions. So I'm like, okay. So we hurry up, we pack up any last minute things in our hospital bag and we head there. My water broke at 6 a.m. We are in the car at 7:15 a.m. So it's about an hour and 15 minutes later. So we're driving and these are painful contractions, like painful contractions. They're back to back, probably every minute and a half. So we're driving there and I'm just holding on to the handle of the car and just bearing through them and breathing through them. My husband, he's got his hand on my leg and trying to get through it. So they were doable, but they're definitely like strong and getting very uncomfortable. So we're getting closer and closer. Again, it's about a 35-minute drive, so that's not enjoyable. And we're about like 5 minutes away and I'm like, babe, like I think this baby is coming. Like there's a lot going on. Like it was really painful. So he pulls a Yui and we get into the hospital. Like we just do something that wasn't legal. And then we get to the hospital. He drops me off. We get up to triage. Triage is horrible. You have to go through triage in order to get to whether it's natural birth center or the regular labor and delivery. So they're supposed to monitor you for 10 to 20 minutes to make sure the baby's heart rate's okay and everything's okay. And then you can go to the natural birth center. They want to make sure your blood pressure, all of that's fine. So I get there, I'm bent over the desk trying to check in. Like I felt like I could push already. So they check me and they get me back there. My husband's still parking the car. I'm up there and they take me back into triage on this little tiny gurney, tell me to lay back. I could not lay back for the life of me. Like you could have strapped me down and I would have ripped the straps off like the Hulk. I was like, I cannot lay down. Like lay back sounded horrible. I wanted to lean forward and I wanted to be on the ground on my hands and knees. That just felt good. We're in there and then I start to bleed at this point, which I guess could be normal. I don't know if it was my bloody show that just finally showed itself or if it's just normal once you progress into labor. But I'm starting to bleed, so that's on the floor and we're in this tiny little curtain room. Triage is horrible. So they're trying to pin this or strap this monitor on me and I'm like, listen, we don't got time for this. The baby is coming. And of course they didn't believe me. It's my first birth. They think I'm overreacting. They probably think I'm just a baby. So she's like, no, we need to strap this on you for 20 minutes. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. So they put it on me. It's like on there for maybe 2 minutes. And I'm like rolling in this bed, just like, I'm not comfortable. So she's like, well, we're going to check you and just see where you're at. They're probably thinking I'm like 2 centimeters. So she checks me. I'm 7 centimeters. And I knew it. I looked at my husband. I was like, yes, because I didn't want to be a 2, and I didn't want to have to be sent home, and I was hoping if these contractions are this strong, like I'm a 7. So I was real excited. I was already a 7. Like, wow, you're a 7. I'm like, yeah, and I'm actually about to start pushing. Like, I have the pressure to push. So they're like, no, you're fine. They're trying to ask me all these questions. My husband's up there now. They're asking him questions. And I'm like, still just like rolling. I just keep getting out of the bed. I keep laying over the side. And that was the only thing that helped. I just needed to lean on something. And then I'm like, I'm actually going to get on the ground. So I'm on this dirty ground in a triage. And they're like, this girl is just doing her own thing. It just felt natural to me, and it felt good to do that. So I'm on the ground. My doula shows up. She comes in. She goes, she sees me, and she can see like the look on my face, which I'm pretty sure was transition at this point. So she sees the look on my face like, oh boy, I think she's there. So she looks at the staff and she's like, just so you know, her family has a history of precipitous births, and she should probably get in a room right now. They looked at her like, oh, okay. So I just needed my doula to say that, apparently, and everything changed. They put me in a wheelchair, wheeled me around the corner, took me to and as they're pushing me to the natural birth center, I'm literally trying to climb out of it to get on the ground and push. I was like, I need to push. They're like, no, please just stay in the wheelchair for like 2 seconds while we get you there. It really was down the hallway. It was not far, but I was like, it felt like you had to poop so bad, but you could, like, people were like, no, you're gonna poop your pants then. Do not poop. So it was limiting for that wheelchair ride. So I'm just really rocking this wheelchair to the birthing center, and we get in there, and basically I climb up on the bed, which is a beautiful natural birth center. It's basically like a luxury hotel room, this giant like king bed. It's got a jacuzzi tub, which I wanted. That was my goal, was jacuzzi tub as long as I can, and then labor however felt natural for me. So whether that was in the bathroom with a shower on me, or standing or squatting, or on my husband some way, like whatever way felt comfortable, that's how I was gonna birth. So I'm up on the bed. I just literally crawl off the wheelchair, crawl onto the bed on my hands and knees, and I'm just breathing through these contractions. I mean, they're back to back. And honestly, within minutes of being on the bed, I had that sensation of pushing. So if you've never had a baby, this is not to scare you. It's just my experience, and I loved it. I had a natural birth and it was great, but I'm going to be open with what it felt like for me, and just like the sensation at that time. So it felt like when you needed to push, it felt like when you have to throw up and it's like involuntary, like it's just like comes up, like it's just, you have no control. It's happening, you can't fight it, it's just coming out. Or if you have to go to the bathroom, it's not even going to the bathroom, it's literally like projectile vomiting. That's how it felt for me. It's like, but the opposite way. So I'm like, I need to push. So she's like, okay, push. So I'm on my hands and knees, I start pushing, but then from pushing and just from being nervous, I was shaking. So I'm like this, and I'm weak, I'm tired, whatever. I'm pushing. It felt like you were taking the biggest poop of your life. I mean, so it's a little bit more silly now, but in the time, I was buckled down, eyes closed, just really in it. So it's amazing how when you're in childbirth, some people love other people around. Some people, need other people to like massage them or help them. And I just kind of went inward, and like, I just wanted to be in a little cave, pushing this child out. Like, I didn't want really anyone touching me. I wasn't mean. I wasn't like yelling things. I was just moaning and like by myself in my own little world. So my husband and I had a goal of natural labor, and he was going to be my childbirth coach. So we took our Bradley method classes, which is natural birth, and it's really just like husband-based birth. So they're going to be the one that's like massaging you, and they're really going to be like in it. Like, they could be down there, they could grab the baby out, they could, whatever you need. They can be behind you while you're pushing, holding your legs. But I had such a quick birth that all of that went out the window. I love that we took the classes. I think they were so beneficial, and I think they were so educational, especially for my husband. I mean, he is so well versed at natural birth now and feels so confident about it and would love to talk to any other male about it. And I just think it was a really good class for us. That being said, we didn't get to use any of the methods of relaxation or massage or meditation or like anything to help with pain relief because it was so quick. So anyways, my husband is on the other side of the bed. I'm in the middle of the bed. He's like on the floor but like hunched over the bed, just probably this far away from me. And he couldn't be any closer, but he couldn't be any further away. He couldn't touch me. He just needed to be there. Just knowing he was right there was enough for me. And you don't know what you're going to be like in birth. So for me, that's what it was like. And I think he would have liked to be a little bit more involved. But there honestly wasn't much to be involved with. So I just kind of went inward and just pushed this baby out. My doula got me a peanut ball, which is like, imagine a yoga ball, but a peanut ball is more of like, it literally is a peanut shape. So it's like big on both ends and then it goes together in the middle, which I never thought I would use one of those. So I was like, what? I used one. So because my arms were so shaky, she gave me that. So I was leaning on top of it. So I'm on all fours, but just leaning on this this peanut ball. My head down, my husband's giving me ice chips. He did do that. So we got something, but he's giving me those perfectly sized crushed ice chips. And that's in between pushes. And so it was great. And then my doula was playing with my hair, which I don't know why my doula could touch me and my husband couldn't. Doesn't seem fair, but I don't know if it's just because I knew she's done this so many times and she's a doula, so she has that comforting maternal, I don't know. But so I'm leaned over this, she's playing with my hair and that felt good. But anyways, I'm pushing and we're getting close. They say they can see the baby's head, and we didn't know if we were having a boy or a girl. So this was it wasn't even a thought in my mind. I was just like, I'm having a baby. So like, I wasn't like, oh, what is it? I'm having a baby. Probably pushed for 40 minutes. So that seems like an eternity, but this is still probably only like, at this point when it's getting close, probably 9 o'clock. So it's been maybe 3 hours since my water broke and since my first contraction. So I'm pushing and we're making progress. Like 40 minutes might seem like a long time, but we're making progress. Then you can see the baby's head. So my husband comes around and sees the baby's head as I'm pushing. So that is probably an amazing view, but super special. So I'm glad he came around and did that. And he wasn't like queasy or, he was involved and it was great. So then he goes back around, he's up by my head and, we're pushing and then I can feel, his head's, the baby's head's so close. They're like, hey, a couple more pushes. So couple more pushes and I felt the baby's head come out and it was such a relief. I can just say I felt like you took the biggest poop of your life. It felt like this baby is coming out of your butt. That's what it felt like for me. And I don't know if it's because I have a small frame or the way he was positioned. He was positioned head down, always was. He was in great position, but it just felt like you were pushing a baby out of your butt, a really big poop. So it was like such a relief once his head was out. And then I waited another contraction and then the rest of his body came out. When the body came out, I had water. Some of my water broke, but then there was some water behind the baby as well. So then water shot everywhere, all over my midwife's face. So sorry. You forget the pain immediately. Like, it's amazing how quickly once the baby's out, like everything goes away. And I didn't tear from front to back, but I could have tore from front to back and had no idea. Like, you just forget everything. So then baby's out. We still don't know if it's a boy or girl. And then we weren't even thinking about it. It was just like, a baby, oh my God. So I'm trying to figure out how to spin around, get the baby, the umbilical cord under my leg, and then put the baby on my chest. And the midwife goes, Dad, do you want to tell her what you have here? And he's just like, it's a boy. So it was a boy. We have a baby boy, Theodore, and he was perfect. And he started crying right away and loud crying. And it was amazing. So they put him on my chest, and it was perfect. I really don't have words besides that moment when you put your baby on your chest and you're trying to look down and see this little creature that you guys created. And he was perfect. He was so cute and so much hair, and it was amazing. I had absolutely no pain medication, and not an Advil, nothing. They didn't even put an IV in me, which was my goal, because I didn't want them to even have an IV to try and do any kind of interventions. So it was so quick. I didn't even have an IV. It was just me pushing this baby out, and it was so empowering and so I don't know, just moving. It was just like, I just birthed our child, and it was everything. So it's everything they say. It's hard to explain besides saying it's everything. It just is. It was amazing, and you can totally have a natural birth if that is your plan. Your body is made to do it, and your body's not going to take on more pain than it can handle. I feel like the minute you think like, I can't do this anymore, is the minute your baby is about to be here. And you get breaks from the contractions and the pushing. They might be short breaks, but you get breaks and literally feel like nothing's happening. You're just like talking, getting ice chips, and then you push. And then you're talking, getting ice chips, and then you push. And it might be different for someone else, but for someone who had a 3-hour and 18-minute labor, that's what it was for me. So it was my first labor, so I'm interested to see how my second labor will go one day. I'm nervous to even, like, if my water breaks, I'm gonna be like, let's just go, or we're considering a home birth, so we'll see how that goes. So that's my natural birth story. I think it's absolutely up to you what you want to do with your labor, as long as you have the information and are educated on, you know, the pros and cons. Then it's totally your decision, and sometimes it's not your decision. Sometimes, you know, life throws curveballs, and you have to do what you have to do. But if you're interested in a natural birth, I would look into the Bradley method and just do as much research and read birth stories that are empowering, and stop reading all the scary stories or having people say negative comments if you say you want a natural birth, because we're made to do that, and you can do it. You absolutely can do it. It's amazing, and women are amazing, and you should absolutely go for it if you're interested. I'm actually going to bring my little guy in here just so you can see him real quick. He is 13 months, so I will bring him in. So this is Theo. He's 13 months old, and he's my cute man. See if you can actually see him. Hi, Bubba. You look right there? You look? Just wanted to introduce him and show you my little man. Hi.